Most landmarks are pretty overrated. Stonehenge is just a pile of rocks, the Great Wall is falling apart, and the Little Mermaid is a pedophile's wet dream. Also, she appears to have legs, so I don't see how she's a mermaid. She's just a human really, a big bronze human, and if I wanted to see that, I'd go to a Mr. Universe event. There are countless disappointing landmarks. The Arch of Triumph looks like a building has collapsed and all that remains is the entrance. I could spend every day of my life mocking beloved landmarks, but right now I want to look at ones that are actually interesting. Frankenstein Castle, because how could I not include a place called Frankenstein Castle? The German castle is rumoured to be the inspiration behind the monster story sharing its name, but the legends surrounding Frankenstein Castle go back much further. Mary Shelley took a trip to Germany before writing Frankenstein. While there, she may have been told legends about the castle. One details the adventures of an alchemist, who while living in the castle had dead bodies brought before him and performed strange experiments on them. The same alchemist was said to have created an elixir of life, but one that didn't quite work. Other legends tell that the Fountain of Youth is hidden within the castle grounds, and just finding it may give you immortality. The darkest legends are paranormal in nature. After falling into ruin during the 1700s, stories emerged of witches and occult societies using the castle for their rituals, as it was rumoured to be haunted by the ghost of a medieval knight. It's unknown why the knight spirit didn't pass on to heaven, but he can reportedly be seen marching through the ruined castle as if still guarding it. The island of Mont Saint Michel is a popular tourist attraction for obvious reasons. She inspired the design of Minas Tirith from Lord of the Rings, but go there and you'll see no elves and no dwarves. Maybe some children, but they don't count as dwarves, unless they're really small. The island has been heavily fortified since medieval times to protect the monastery built there. Pilgrims would come from all over France to see the monastery, being able to walk from the island to the mainland at low tide. But when the tide came back, pilgrims would often find themselves stranded. Finding yourself briefly stranded on the island might not sound too bad until you hear how haunted it is. Countless people have reported seeing ghostly monks walk the island on cold mornings. If a ghostly monk realizes that you see him, he will slowly disappear before you. Now this may look like a typical North Korean village, but it's in South Korea, so it looks like it's from the past. It's called Korean Folk Village and is designed to resemble a traditional settlement, with replica buildings everywhere. Traditional displays of culture can also be seen here, making it a popular attraction, but some come here hoping to see a gwizin, a type of ghost from Korean folklore. They were humans who died without fulfilling a promise. If a warrior dies before achieving the revenge he swore, or if an engaged woman dies before her marriage, she will become a gwizin. One of such women is said to occupy the Korean folk village. She can be recognized by her pale skin, long black hair, and violent nature. She is known to attack those who see her, and many have seen her within the village. Beside a Moldovan river is a medieval cave monastery. The structure has rooms connected by corridors, making it one of the world's largest cave monasteries. It's been much romanticized, partly as the monastery is shrouded in mystery. No one knows when it was built, and for much of its history it was abandoned. Legend tells that Stephen the Great, a famous 15th century Moldovan ruler, secretly married his wife within the monastery. It's her ghost that is said to now occupy the monastery. She was born near the monastery and is thought to have returned home after dying, wandering the area and on occasion visiting her place of marriage. If you hear the sound of a woman weeping from within the monastery, do not enter. It is her. The Kremlin is a fortified area of Moscow. It was lived in by the Tsars of Imperial Russia, by the leaders of the Soviet Union, and now by the President of Russia. If local lore is to be believed, the Kremlin is also home to some of the world's most dangerous ghosts. If anywhere in the world is haunted, the Kremlin is. A place where the corpses of dictators are sealed inside the walls surrounding it. Stalin and Lenin are among the corpses kept there, and long after their deaths people have claimed to see them walking the Kremlin. But the Kremlin's strangest ghost is known as False Dmitri. Unlike other Tsars, he took the throne by force after raising an army. He then began to reshape the Kremlin to suit him and have any power rivals executed. But because of how he gained power, he was not seen as a legitimate Tsar, and he was soon shot dead within the Kremlin as he was trying to escape. His supporters were then massacred. Like him, their ghosts appear in the Kremlin basement during political crises. They last appeared with the collapse of the Soviet Union. The White House. It's a big white house, and inside that house is Baron Trump. He's in there doing Trump things, but he doesn't have anything on the ghosts of the White House. The building is said to be haunted by the ghosts of former presidents. The most widely reported White House ghost is Abraham Lincoln. Former presidents Hoover, Eisenhower, and Roosevelt all claimed to encounter his ghost, as did Winston Churchill and the Dutch Queen. Staying a night in the White House, she heard a knock at her bedroom door. She opened the door to see Abraham Lincoln standing before her, which caused her to faint. Several other presidents and presidential family members are said to haunt the White House. Dolly Madison was one of America's earliest first ladies. She planted a rose garden which is still maintained today. About a century later, the garden was ordered removed, but when workers attempted to dig it up, it said the ghost of Dolly Madison appeared before them and demanded they stop. No one has since tried to remove the garden, because frankly, if she's willing to come back from the dead over it, it's not worth the trouble. Zikov Castle is a 13th century Czech castle. It was notoriously hard to capture, on high ground and well fortified. Countless died trying. After many centuries of besiegement, it fell into a state of ruin. It was ransacked and looted, damaged by fire and used for farming. During this time, legends grew, telling of a ghostly imp within the castle. He is a mischievous ghost, but usually stays within the castle tower. He doesn't tend to harm people, but legend tells that anyone who spends a night in the tower will die within the year. It's also said that the imp guards an underground passage hidden somewhere in the castle, but it's unknown where the tunnel leads. Valley of the Kings is at the bank of the Nile. Many of ancient Egypt's most powerful figures were buried inside tombs here. The most famous tomb here contains Tutankhamun. Rumor told that opening the tomb would unleash a terrible curse. After its excavation, reports of financial woes, illness, and even death surrounded those who opened the tomb. It's just one of many legends of the valley. Others tell of the ghosts of ancient Egyptians appearing. The sight of warriors on chariots pulled by black horses has been reported multiple times in the valley, but they don't get far before disappearing back into the desert.